The sun has left and forgotten me. It's dark, I cannot see.
Happy New Year, listeners. Thanks to you, 2021 was a huge growth year for the Your Stories Don't Define You podcast. I know you have a lot of options when it comes to how you spend your time and which podcasts you listen to. And I'm incredibly grateful and honored that you choose this one again and again. Special thanks to Rich Gasson, Jeff Eichler, Charlotte Wittenkamp, and Anna Kashmirowski for listening, sharing, and commenting on episodes consistently. And a special, very dear thanks to Neil Hughes, who produces and uploads these episodes. Episode 261. Will you choose your oh shit zone, or will it choose you? I walked into the room with zero expectations. The people inside weren't strangers, but they also weren't people I had ever met in person. We had connected on LinkedIn over a couple of years, and they trusted my instinct in getting us together face to face to learn together. 23 of us were in the room, and somehow it felt more like a reunion of friends than a professional event. That was 2017 in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. Those 22 people took a big chance on my vision, and I couldn't have been more grateful or anxious. They came from all over the US and Canada, investing time and money on something that hadn't ever been done before, as far as we knew. Thanks to the guidance of my friend Trent Selbraid, I had negotiated a ridiculous deal on hotel rooms and a decent contract to reduce my risk. But I was still risking thousands of dollars on this, money my family would most definitely miss if it had gone wrong. I almost broke even that first year, not quite covering my own travel costs, and definitely not covering my time. We had spent all day together, from 8 a.m. to nearly 6, with the last session being full of laughter. I was making housekeeping announcements for the next day and mentioned that my husband and I would be making our way to a recommended Chinese restaurant about a block away from the hotel at around 7:30. I asked for a show of hands for anyone who wanted to join us, thinking I would call the restaurant ahead to let them know if we were going to bring a larger group. I expected a handful of people. 20 of us made our way to the restaurant that evening. The 2 who didn't wanted to, but had made plans with local friends and family. No one wanted the day to end. I remember leaning back, internal dialogue screaming at me about how to make the second day just as amazing as the first, feeling intense pressure. And then I overheard people at the table next to me. Maybe next year we could. I'm thinking a good topic for next year would be, I wonder if we could get, and a thought popped into my head with full force. Wait, they want me to do this again? We did do it again, 4 more times. Once in Denver, another time in Atlanta, in Chicago, and then in Park City, Utah this year, 2022. And now we're gearing up for the 6th No Longer Virtual Summit back in Chicago, February 27th and 28th, 2023. I create a lot of content around stepping out of your comfort zone for personal growth and to build resilience. It's also a critical factor in being a storyteller. If you don't take risks, you have a lot fewer meaningful stories to share. And that NLV experience, that was a big step outside of my comfort zone. Or as my friend and NLV alumni, Kevin Strauss, calls it, my oh shit zone. He describes it in concentric circles in episode 38 of this podcast, the innermost being your comfort zone. That generally starts out pretty small. The next circle, he says, is your stretch zone, where you can take intentional steps to make your comfort zone grow, pushing the boundaries set by your own fears and by the influences in your life. Kevin refers to that outside circle as your oh shit zone. And usually we don't get to choose when we fall or are pushed into that one. And yet, when things resolve, and one way or another they always do, your comfort zone can grow to accommodate your experience, making you more resilient as you see evidence of your survival of hard things, big, uncomfortable challenges. Your comfort zone can shrink, though, as I demonstrated in a recent post on social media, as we improve our daily comfort level. Take temperature for an example. Here in Montana, I regularly hike in temperatures in the teens and 20s in the winter. And when the temperature drops into the single digits, I bundle up and head outside. And it always feels strange to me that a few days later, when it warms up, I'm using air quotes here, to 20 degrees, I find myself outside with my coat unzipped and no hat, thinking, this doesn't feel so bad. I know to most people that sounds crazy, but in Montana, I've seen people in short sleeve shirts when the temperature goes from single digits to low 20s over a couple of days. We acclimate. But when we don't go out because it feels so cold to us, we start to decrease our tolerance for variations in temperature. 50 degrees feels ridiculously cold to someone who spends their time almost exclusively at 70 degrees. And if you go too long without exposure, even 65 degrees can seem intolerable. What does that do to your comfort zone and your desire to take risks? It shrinks dramatically. If you want scientific proof, I suggest you read The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter. He has lots of resources that he cites in that book. And that book is what inspired me to write the post about how all things are relative, including my experience with temperature changes. Hosting the No Longer Virtual Summit has been an incredible opportunity for me to expand my comfort zone. It's not quite the oh shit zone for me anymore, but every year it's a stressful challenge not to lose money and a welcome challenge to make it special, to make it memorable, to ensure the stickiness of sessions, and more importantly, the connections within the community. What I hear from the NLV community is that the first time they attend, it feels a lot like they're in the oh shit zone of discomfort when they arrive. And within minutes, they feel the shift down into the stretch zone because they can immediately sense the welcoming, supportive energy from the community. That's impressive, right? That people choose the oh shit zone for a professional development event. It's also endlessly impressive to me that at least half of the people who come each year consider themselves introverts, which is why the schedule leaves plenty of room throughout the day for people to process their experiences, walking away to be by themselves, or deepening conversations in even smaller groups. At the end of that first NLV in Atlanta, we had a debriefing session to talk about what went right, what might make it even better, and what each of us needs from the community to support their career growth and businesses. And we do that after every NLV. But I'll never forget that last evening, sitting at the hotel bar with the last of my guests. I was exhausted. Sipping whiskey with my now dear friend, Zach Messler. He grinned at me across the table. What an amazing couple of days. Wow. I had zero expectations. I couldn't have known what would happen with this experiment. And I'm so glad I showed up for this. I won't miss the next one either. I had to agree. I learned so much. I had dozens of ideas to consider, a few critical nuggets about how to shift my side hustle into an income-producing business, and exactly the community of professionals I needed to support and encourage me throughout the year. I had no idea what the future would hold for No Longer Virtual, but I knew what had transpired in those 2 days, and it was life-changing. My comfort zone took a deep breath. expanding into my stretch zone in unexpected and extraordinary ways. How will you make the conscious decision to step into your oh shit zone? You know you're a lot more likely to learn and grow from the experience when you choose it rather than it choosing you. And once you've stepped into it with intention, you've expanded your stretch zone, which also expands your comfort zone. You can look at the evidence of your success after taking a risk like that and know that you can do more. You can do better. Your dreams could be bigger. Okay, listeners, now it's your turn. What's your oh shit zone story? And how have you grown from it? Thanks for listening to Your Stories Don't Define You, How You Tell Them Will. If you enjoyed the episode, I'd really be grateful if you'd write a review on your favorite podcast platform so more people might listen in. And if you're curious about expanding your comfort zone by attending the upcoming No Longer Virtual Summit, visit elkinsconsulting.com/NLV-home. Also on my website, elkinsconsulting.com, you can find links to my brand new job interview storytelling course, just $49 for a limited time, and to purchase my book and get started in collecting your most meaningful stories. Thanks again for listening, and Happy New Year.
Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.